when I deal with a leader who's kind of dealing with micromanagement, I always ask them, do you trust your team? And there's always a hesitation there. Like usually they don't fully trust their teams. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts, quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I am the founder of Forward Partners, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in podcasting, Emily Grace Deal. Emily, what are we talking about today?
Today we have a question.
Okay.
How do you walk the line between empowering your team within the guardrails you have set up and doing everything you can to ensure success without micromanaging?
That last word there.
Yeah, that was like the whole thing.
That's the whole
All
thing.
you need is
hinges
how do
on that
you
word.
not micromanage.
And it's interesting because they always tell you don't micromanage, but I know so many leaders that tend towards that. So I think first we kind of need to define what is micromanagement and what is not, because I think that's where we go wrong is if you as a leader have an idea of what it is and then your teammate has a different idea of what it is, y'all are probably going to butt heads at some point. So I think you start with that. And the way I kind of think about it is kind of setting a plan together as a team and agreeing, hey, we're going to talk about this at regular intervals. That is not micromanagement.
Right.
That's teamwork. That's
Right.
collaboration, right? So when I come to you every week and check in on progress, I'm not micromanaging.
Well, and I think the thing about micromanaging is that no one actually is intending to do that. Most average healthy people aren't.
Right.
Everyone's trying not to.
Yeah, they're trying to achieve success.
I think it's a slow thing where you're like, okay, well, this isn't getting done. Well, I'm just going to ask them. And then you just slowly ask more. And then it just slowly becomes this micromanaging kind of monster situation.
Yes.
So I think if you have those intervals to like, okay, well, if we're going to check in every other week or once a month or whatever that may be, you've agreed on it. Yep. And then if there's if anything outside that kind of starts to happen, then you realize, okay, now this is becoming micromanaging.
Yeah, when you establish that agreement for, hey, we're going to talk about this, I'm going to give you all the resources, and then we're going to check in and talk about this regularly. I'm going to help you where you need it. That is setting guardrails for the employee, but also for the leader to say, hey, as long as they're living up to what they said they're going to in the agreement, let's keep doing this.
Right.
Because I think defining micromanagement, here's the simple way I define it: telling your people what to do, how to do it, and very often taking it over yourself. That's micromanagement. It's saying you have to do this. Here's exactly how you have to do it. And if you don't do step 1 and 2 right, I'm jumping into step 3.
Right.
Like that gets into micromanagement.
Well, and there's a point too where now you're doing everyone's job. So that's not only not helpful and annoying for the person that you're talking to, but it's also not helpful for you because you can't do both people's jobs. What's the point of having both people?
And that's the interesting part we fall into a lot is when I deal with a leader who's kind of dealing with micromanagement, I always ask them, do you trust your team? And there's always a hesitation there. Like usually they don't fully trust their teams. And we have to build that. We kind of have to build this culture of collaboration, because I think part of what traps us in this idea of micromanagement is the idea that success is entirely on one person's shoulders.
Yeah.
The success of Forward Partners is not on my shoulders. It is not on your shoulders alone. It is not on John's shoulders. It's not on other Emily's shoulders. It is on our shoulders. And so that's where that culture of collaboration comes in, to say one of us is not capable of having the impact we want to have. It's going to take every one of us.
Yeah.
And that's true of every organization.
Well, yeah, and I think we have some comfort sometimes when we're like, well, I'll just do it all myself and that'll be okay because it'll be done the way I want it to be done.
Yes.
But then realizing that's not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. And that's going to quickly become very old.
Well, it's not only not sustainable, but it's limiting the impact of the organization. Because you're so focused on this one thing we've got to get done perfectly, and so I'm going to jump in and do it. What about the 30 other things? What about the potential impact that could be if you learn to trust your team? Yeah. And that's where I think that basic rhythm of, hey, we're going to sit, we're going to collaborate on how we're going to do this together, then I'm going to check in regularly. And that is not micromanagement. I think that's a big piece of it. And then communication, I think, is kind of at the core of all of this. Yeah. Learning how to talk about it. And almost like we talk about the idea of giving your team the ability to disagree, the vocabulary, you almost have to give them the vocabulary to challenge each other. So if I tended towards micromanagement, if I unknowingly veered into it, then giving y'all the language to say, hey, buddy, need you back off just a little bit.
Being self-aware enough to know that you know that.
Yes.
And then also knowing, like, being okay with when that actually happens.
Absolutely, because we're scared to challenge the people above us. And so I might say, here's the regular intervals we're going to check in, and then somehow I jump in, some fear kicks up inside me, and I start micromanaging a little bit, getting a little too involved in the process.
Right.
Y'all need the ability to push back and say, ooh, hang on. We agreed we weren't going to do this. And then hopefully I'm in a healthy enough place to go, oh, yeah, you know what? You're right.
Right.
And I think that's one of those big keys there. So leaders, let's talk about next steps, because this is a really vital thing for us. I think, one, you need to establish that culture of collaboration, that success is not on your shoulders. It is not alone on your shoulders. It is with your entire team. If you have a team, there's a reason they're there. So we got to start to build that trust. And so really establish that culture of collaboration. And I think, too, really focus in on how the process is going to work and agree on that. Here's the thing that needs to be done. Let's collaborate on how we're going to do it, and let's establish regular check-ins. And let's agree that those regular check-ins are not micromanagement. That is you just ensuring the process is moving, and really importantly, sitting down and going, hey, how can I support you? What challenges are you running into? Can I bring resources to bear to help you? That's where those check-ins are really vital. They're not just, are you doing your job check-ins? They are, how can I support you check-ins?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to make a massive, massive difference. All right, if anybody else wants to send us questions just like this, where do they send it to?
They send it to lab@forwardpartners.net.
lab@forwardpartners.net. And if they want to find us on social, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and we are putting out content all the time just like this. Where do they find that?
@forwardpartner.
@forwardpartner. Emily, thank you for bringing this question and doing
Thank
this
you.
podcast. John, thank you for producing. Thank y'all for watching, for listening, for sharing. Please share this with friends. Maybe not somebody that's micromanaging you currently. I don't know that that's going to go well, but share.
Please listen to this podcast.
I think there's something vital for you to learn in this. But share the podcast in general with other leaders. We really want to grow our impact and grow our reach to have a much, much larger impact on the leadership community. So thank you for doing that. We will see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.